Today I visit with the Honorable Andrew Dawson of Sedalia, Missouri. I'm Rick J., and this is Spotlight on the Arts, About Town, the series.
Rick J. presents Spotlight on the Arts.
Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the City Hall in the great city of Sedalia, Missouri. I'd like you, if you would, join me in welcoming Mayor Dawson to the show, Spotlight on the Arts, and About Town. I'm truly excited to turn the spotlight on you today, Mayor Dawson, here in the great city of Sedalia, Missouri.
Well, thanks for having me on, Rick.
Yes, it's an honor and on my behalf. Well, I've been looking forward to this interview for quite a while, and some time now since we officially met here at City Hall on an art exhibit. And I wish to share the worldwide viewers your and the city of Sedalia, Missouri's passion for the arts. The city has a long history of supporting the arts, covering all aspects of such. And I'm excited to hear about you as mayor of the great city and what it presents to you and share your story. So let me start off, please, if I may, share with the viewers a little bit about Mayor Andrew Dawson.
Where to begin?
Yes, start at the beginning. You was born where?
So I was born in Tuscumbia, Missouri. We moved to Sedalia when I was, I think 3 or 4. Was here until I was about, I think it was 8 or 9. Went to first and second grade over at Washington Elementary. And then we moved out to western Kansas for about 3 years. My mom decided she did not like living in a place without trees and lots of cows, so we moved back to Sedalia, and have been here ever since. So.
I see. Well, one of my favorite movies being living part-time in Iberia, Missouri, a few miles there from Tuscumbia, and one of my favorite pastimes was fishing on their old bridge. Tuscumbia, long before they blew it up. So, well, great. Now you're a family man?
Yep. Married, have 5 kids. I'd like to just thank my wife because without her I could not serve the community the way that I do. She helps out immensely with supporting me and supporting my endeavors with regards to this.
Now, would you like shout outs to the children are fine if you'd like to say hi, look at the camera and say.
Yeah. Hey kids.
Hey kids, okay. Sounds good, very good. Well, Mayor Dawson, can you share with the viewers how you became inspired to become mayor of this great city of the future?
So, when I was turned about 35, 36, I had some major changes in my life. At that point, I had those shifts caused me to kind of reevaluate things and dedicate myself to the places where I could be of the most service and do the most good. And so that kind of put me on a trajectory where eventually I ended up on city council, and then moving into the mayor's seat, because those is kind of a natural progression where I could do the most good. Aim for your highest good. That kind of became my motto.
That is excellent. Yes, we always reach for the best, the highest level, and I look at not goals, but again, looking at the future or your highest level, because the goals seem to have a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
But if you just keep on trucking, as they used to say, that's the way I like to look at life. And now at 78, I've really been fortunate to experience a lot of, I've had the bumps in the road, but also still reaching for the next great interview, shall we say, or the opportunity in life. Well, can you share with the viewers a preview of what is planned for this city's future? I understand the city planners, headed by Director John Sullivan IV, may have a few plans for the future. Can you step us into the future a little bit, where you're at now and what you foresee?
Yeah. So back in 2020, we went through about every 15 years, we go through a comprehensive planning process, and we came up with a comprehensive plan over the course of a year. There was a lot of community engagement with public meetings and roundtables with stakeholders, where we came up with a comprehensive plan to take us into for the next 20 years. That was adopted by council in 2021. A lot of the stuff inside of that comprehensive plan revolve around walkable neighborhoods, complete streets, things of that nature, getting people to move throughout the community on foot and via bicycle, and kind of at a ground level getting in touch with their neighbors and the world around them.
Oh, excellent. What a concept. Really bring your city, community together is what I see. And I know everyone wants to feel a part of that. That really makes for a great atmosphere, I guess you could say, for a city.
Previously, in the past, you kind of witnessed a move away from walkable streets where sidewalks didn't matter. They kind of fell into disrepair. And we're realizing a shift back to that, because it has become readily apparent how important a walkable community is to the community and building a community. Whenever you're out there walking up and down the street, you are, or even biking, you're actively engaging with your neighbors. There's a sense of pride there, and without that, you're just driving up and down the street. You tend to miss a lot of things.
Yes, and we're going to talk about how, in the second part, a little bit about how this is coming about. I don't want to give it away, but definitely Sedalia, Missouri has a handle on, should we say, wrapping the community into what you would like to see, even driving through on the 50 highway or 65 going south. And we'll talk more about that in the second half. Well, we talked about the second half. I guess we should go ahead and take a break. So please make yourself comfortable, and while we look at a couple special messages. After the break, Mayor Dawson will fill us in on the artistic history and the current day's effects, you might say, that support the arts in Sedalia, Missouri, plus his own passionate feelings for the arts in the city. There's much more here on Spotlight on the Arts, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stream Spotlight on the Arts on GIAJ Global Media OTT Network. Google us or find us on Roku, Amazon Fire.tv, or Apple.tv.
Hi, I'm Rick J.
And I'm Jeffrey Purnell.
And we're here to introduce you to
GIAJ Global Media OTT Network.
Hope you'll tune in.
Tune in and watch all the great shows by independent producers, music, and film, and podcasts.
Roku,
Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV,
and or Google us on GIJ Global Media Network.
It's a free download now. Thank you.
paintings of Douglas Freed exist between representation and abstraction in a realm that few other painters can really call their own: composition. Well, welcome. So please share a little bit about Ron Emig. If you would look at the camera and talk to our viewers out there worldwide and give them a little bit of a picture.
I was born and raised in St. Louis, but lived in this area since '86. Have 2 children and 2 grandchildren, and I've been involved with art all my life, basically, since I could hold a pencil.
Oh, excellent.
Always been drawing horses and cowboys, and it's what I do today.
Well, you know, he was with us last November, the 10th of 2020, right in the middle of that old COVID thing going on, as we could call it. And you spoke of a project that you were working on and promised to bring us up to date on that project at the completion or some close to that time frame. So I'd like to turn it over to you and ask you to share with us the exciting project that we see behind us and in its finished state. So Gary, let us know how this project come about for those that wasn't with us on November 10th.
Okay, well, I'm part of a group from Kansas City called Artist Inc.
Artist of the Year.
Hello folks, how you doing tonight? I'm Jeremy Cash, and so I'm gonna do my song I always do at every show, Folsom Prison Blues. I hear a train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. That train keeps rolling on down to San Antonio.
And now you're sharing that here today with our viewers in a new book called A Perfectly Ordinary Paradise. Please let us know everything you can share with us on the Perfectly Ordinary Paradise. Welcome back, everyone, to Spotlight of the Arts, About Town, the series. I continue with my special guest, the Honorable Mayor of Sedalia, Missouri. That's Andrew Dawson. Well, Mayor Dawson, we covered a lot before the break and shared a lot of information. So let's go ahead and continue along those lines of thought and expression. I guess I should, as promised, let's look at the historic arts surrounding Sedalia, Missouri.
Favorite one in the whole city would be over at the Dom. It would be the Gray Man. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? If I had to pick one, that would be the one, the Gray Man over at the Dom.
And let's start off with Scott Joplin.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with, I'm sure you're familiar with that story. Tell us a little bit about Scott Joplin.
So Scott Joplin was the inventor of ragtime music. Came right here from Sedalia, Missouri.
Yes. I remember at 5 or 6 years old, my mother put me to piano lessons. And she says, one tune I'd like you to learn is The Maple Rag by Scott Joplin.
Yeah.
So I can connect again. It's, you know, I interview people. There's so many things I can connect on. It's a small world. All right. So Scott Joplin, and they even have Scott Joplin Days. That's coming up this year, I believe, in August. So another reason to come to Sedalia. And we'll talk about more reasons to visit the Sedalia, Missouri. Well, the Hagen Liberty Center, now known as the Community Arts Center, Tell us a little bit about that. That's been around a long time, and I've interviewed and done a documentary on that. So, your viewpoint of the Hagen Liberty Center.
Oh, the Liberty Center is great. I mean, they've got some great theater performances there, and they've been working hard on renovating that over the past few years and raising the funds to do that.
Today I'm on the road to Sedalia, Missouri, visiting the historic Hayden Liberty Center. I'm Rick J., and this is About Town, the series.
Okay, sure. The Hayden Liberty Center wasn't always called the Hayden Liberty Center. It started out as the Lona Theater, but you're correct. We've been here, the building itself has been here 102 years. We turned 100 years old, the building, during the pandemic. Right now, we have a Chicago prop from the play Chicago that we did in 2012, and we've saved that and got that out for our gala that we just had a couple weeks ago. So it's a fun prop to have. Of course, we have music sometimes with the piano here in the lobby at different times. And when you walk this way, you walk into the addition that happened in 2016. And these are the 3 galleries that lead your way to the theater. But there's been over 190 productions from the Sedalia Community Theater and the Liberty Center Association for the Arts right here on the stage. So not only has there been theater productions on the stage, we also have concerts, comedy. We had a magic show this fall. All kinds of fun things happen here, but there's still more in the building to see. Come follow me.
Great.
Oh, the Liberty Center is great. I mean, they've got some great theater performances there, and they've been working hard on renovating that over the past few years and raising the funds to do that. And then they've got that around the back side of it, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. One of the local artists is doing a iron fence around the backside where they're going to do outdoor performances. Really coming together.
So another item of interest and a superior quality.
Donnie Looper, that's the artist.
Yes, Donnie Looper.
Yeah,
I just interviewed Donnie Looper. Yeah. You can look at GIAJ's Global Media Network, and it's a spot right now on YouTube, still running, Don Looper's, some of his. So that should be quite an event for. They not only partake out on the outdoor patio, but looking at Don Looper's, another Don Looper's a piece of, shall we say, sculpture.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great outdoor music space. Some fine addition to downtown.
Well, that's a new one. Don didn't tell me about that, so thanks, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, the Missouri State Fair. If you haven't been to the Missouri State Fair, tell us a little bit about that. That is something. Thousands of people come from miles around every state that was reachable. Tell us a little bit about the
that happens in August. A huge influx of people coming to town. Great event for agriculture, ag tourism. Seeing those kids get out there with their animals and run them through the judging process. It's a lot of fun.
Right, and art.
Yeah.
Since we're talking a little bit about art, they have definitely a fine arts. Top 50 artists, Missouri chose them and juried in. So again, different, you can identify, I'm sure, even as a individual from Kansas, Oklahoma, that you look forward to walking around. And there's so much there, too.
Yeah, a lot of great music. One of the things I've always enjoyed since I was a little kid out there is the conservation department has a building that's just dedicated to aquariums and fish. And love going out there and looking at those fish, big fish swimming around those tanks.
Oh, yes. So we've got to keep that on your agenda. Think about in August. It's just a 3-day event. Bring your camper or what have you, or find a great hotel here in Sedalia, and there's many. Well, the Sedalia Visual Arts Association, you recently made a proclamation honoring the South Sedalia Visual Arts Association, SVAA for short, a proclamation, which I know they felt honored. Honored myself being part of that with an exhibit here at City Hall at that same time. So
Yeah, they maintain that rotating exhibit of local artists down here at City Hall, and I love coming in every day and checking out the new pieces that are put up each month, and that's quite a service that they do.
And
for the
you,
city.
as mayor, get to recognize one of those as a mayor's favorite.
Yeah.
So that's great. And I want to thank, on behalf of the city council for backing such. Yeah. And I understand you had considered, the council had considered a little bit of incentive, not incentive so much, but to help the artist who actually exhibits a dollar amount that you was.
Yeah, but that's one thing that we're looking at exploring, is doing a stipend for the artist's expenses that it takes to come out and display that art, and doing something along in conjunction with SVAA to go ahead and make that happen.
Yes. Well, on behalf of SVAA, I want to thank you once again, and that is covered. The actual proclamation in the Mayor Dawson's office, so that's also on YouTube now, and GIAJ Plus. So, well, your work of art using retired weapons. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, so that was just some stuff we found over in the annex. It was a bunch of the old confiscated weapons and things like that that they used to keep in the police station downstairs. And we had them move them into the office. It's an oddity more than anything that you can come in and take a look at. Yeah. And
the viewers are taking a look at that as you describe it here on the timeline. So I think it's really unique. I can imagine all the weapons that I guess are made or designed while people are being carried on a car search, I guess.
Oh yeah, each one of those has a case number on it. There's probably a sordid story behind each one of those items.
Yes. That would be a great story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
My. Well, recognized artists in your community, visual, performing, film, musicians, there any come to mind from each one, maybe those categories?
I'm trying to think. There's a lot to choose from there. I would hate to nail anybody down.
I see. Yeah. But you say as a group, they're being recognized. You'll sit on the walls of some of the buildings. Even at one location that I shot on a little biography on Linda Hoover, painted one of the buildings. And you'll see that that's really becoming popular, recognizing the city of Sedalia when the railroads came to town, when I was going to say the oxen, but I guess it became cattle after a few years. So there's a lot of history about Sedalia. I understand that the Missouri, University of Missouri is thinking about doing a documentary.
Yeah, so what they've done is they've dedicated to, it's the 75th Missouri Photo Workshop, and it's going to be put on by the University of Missouri. They will be coming to town the week of September 23rd. And so there will be photojournalists from all over the country, some from Time Magazine, National Geographic, Newsweek. They'll be coming to Sedalia, and the idea is to document life in Sedalia at a certain time. But now, and their goal is we're going to have a dinner on Sunday night, the opening night of this event. The goal is for those photojournalists to embed with members of the community and get to a point where, because everybody's got a mask that they wear for their public persona, right?
Yes.
For that mask to fall away and they get a real inside look at that person and their life and to document that. So that's going to be an interesting experience, and I look at that from not only an art standpoint. It's going to be neat as far as art, and they're going to bring back the photojournalism. They did this once back in 1980. They'll bring all those works back and display them. But there's also a certain aspect of that is community building and also building empathy, because you're getting an inside look into your neighbors' lives and what they've got going on and their real life. So I think that's going to be an interesting experience for sure.
Again, wrapping your arms around your community, and
Mm-hmm.
that's another plus, you could say. That's great. Well, let's see. I'm so impressed looking at it from a Parks and Recreation viewpoint of the past. Your avenues maintained. You have a lot of programs planned, again, not only from the university we just talked about, but you have an individual that we'd like to recognize that has a lot to do with that. I believe that person's name is Jolene Cornine. Would you like to introduce Jolene? We'll get her overall look at what's planned from her perspective.
Yeah, now I'd just like to introduce our downtown planner, our downtown specialist, city planner, Jolie Cornine.
Well, thanks, Mayor Dawson, for giving up your seat to an interesting person that has the scoop, should we say, on sort of the future plans, the hands-on person. I'd like to introduce Miss Jolene Cornine. Hello, welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, About Town, the series, Jolene. Can you tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, really what's happening? I know you've got a great event coming up here in the near future, so let's start with that. Or you can touch base how this all came about from your perspective. You've been with the city how long?
I've been with the city for almost 16 years now. It'll be 16 years in June. Started out with the mayor's office for basically 15 of those years, and then when the planner downtown specialist position came open, I volunteered to go over that way because I wanted to be able to work with the wonderful people like our artists and musicians in Sedalia, and to be able to do something a little different for our downtown area and for citywide too.
Excellent, excellent. So you're definitely have a foothold, shall we say, a great foundation here in the overall planning of the future. So, give us, I guess, the Scott Joplin. Do you have a little play in that?
We will. With being with the city, we are heavily invested with the Scott Joplin Festival, being able to help with street closures, helping with the tents, the whole setup, and being able to greet people when they come downtown. It's a fun time. Basically, it's the first week of June, and what really intrigues me is we get to see a lot of familiar faces with Sedalia, but we have people that come from an international standpoint that actually mark their calendars to be in Sedalia, Missouri for that event.
It doesn't surprise me. Personally, I have an art show that at the Run Center in Jefferson City, and we're now getting people from Brazil and China and Japan putting it on their calendar. So that's why I wanted to get the message out, because the show goes worldwide. So plan on not only visiting the Run Center, but also this Sedalia, Missouri.
Well, Rick, I believe you're probably talking about our Nobro Art Events group. That was started by a famous artist here in town, Dustin Schmidt, and a former council person, Lucas Richardson. We've always had a great pool of artists and musicians in Sedalia, as evidenced by the different murals that we have and showing at the Dahl Museum. But with Dustin and Lucas, they wanted to be able to start getting that vibrancy downtown, getting our artists and musicians into the buildings and create that awareness of the great wealth of art that we have within the area. And so they started doing at least a quarterly art walk. They're indoor art walks when it's outdoor art walks when it's pretty outside, and they even do one in December. They just had one just this last December in the Lamy Building, which is a beautiful venue, and they've been gracious enough to open up that lobby for them to do their art exhibits in there. But they don't stop just at that. They've got a mac and cheese cook-off coming up pretty soon. They investigate different ways of bringing the community together and making sure that people get to know the creative minds that are in our town. With that, Dustin will tell you, they wanted to establish that present for downtown with the essential idea of if a group came in, that we could kind of take that seed and start growing it into something even more with them. So we have started with the Sedalia Main Streets group of First Thursdays, and that will run from April through October. So the first Thursdays of each month, month. You don't even have to think about what you're going to be doing. It'll run from 5:30 to 8:30, and it is really a community effort. Basically, we're asking for businesses to see if they would like to participate with in-store promotions only, or if they would like to have an artist exhibit within their building or outside, or a musician. And I would tell you, I've had quite a few businesses so far that have checked the boxes, yes, 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 and more, please. And so I think if you think about 2020 as being the time where we didn't get to celebrate together, I think our community, just as well as many across the country, were hungry for the chance to be able to safely come together, but get to celebrate what makes our community unique, get just to celebrate being a Sedalia or the Pettis County in a situation where you just get out, walk the friendly sidewalks, get to see what the pool of resources are out there that you feed your body every day with grocery stores and being able to go to the library and get books and that sort of thing. But with the art and the musician, you get to feed your creative spirit too, and that is something that I believe Sedalia really has a wealth in. And so with doing the first Thursdays, I think we'll just be having a monthly celebration of that. Plus there'll be food trucks to feed the tummy too. So.
And I want to point out that the architecture, shall we say, the buildings, the old buildings, you will feel the feeling of being in an older community, but very well kept, more like a neighbor coming to town, and all, again, being wrapped up by the visuals, the entertainment, the artists, what have you. So I'm looking forward to another Thursday.
Yeah. The way that you say that, Rick, too, it's kind of like visiting a friend's house.
Yes.
You get to experience walking to a friend's house and get to see their artistic taste and maybe something that you hadn't thought of, but it's like, I really like that style sort of thing. Then, of course, you've got the other position where you can go the Dom Contemporary Art and be able to see even different types of art. And somehow, with eclectic nature, you can mesh that sort of the artwork together, and that's what is so fun about being able to explore Sedalia.
Well, I think you could also identify, my next comment or question would be your parks and recreation, parks especially, the avenues. You cannot drive through Sedalia without feeling that someone has really attended to these trees, these bushes, the park, the main park, the offices, the flowers, the pool, the what have you. So would you like to comment on that from your perspective?
I do believe our Sedalia Parks and Recreation Department does a wonderful job of embracing our green spaces. And not only that, Sedalia has been a Tree City USA for 8 to 9 years now, so they take a very careful inventory of not only our park trees but community-wide. And the Sedalia Parks Department only takes care of our green spaces. They make sure that they provide an opportunity to our residents to be able to experience that, the ultimate of being able to be with the grass and the vegetables and fruit, because they even started a community garden on the north side that has been embraced quite well. So, and I love the fact that they have done like the monarch, the butterfly gardens, the monarch watch stations at one of the parks, because they are very careful about making sure that just provide that opportunity for somebody to be able to step out and really enjoy their outdoor surroundings, and giving people the tools to be able to know what do you do when you get out there, sort of thing.
Yes.
So.
Well, thank you, Julian, if I may call you by your first. It's been a great a look at what's happening in Sedalia. So thank you again. And I guess now we'll turn back to Mayor Andrew Dawson. We're back with Mayor Dawson. Mr. Dawson, Mayor Dawson, may I ask if you have any other content that you'd like to mention? Share with us?
I'd just like to thank the city staff that's involved when we're talking about these events and things that are put on. They do a lot of the heavy lifting with regards to street closures and planning and making these events happen, like downtown. So definitely send a thanks out to them for everything that they do with regards to that. Another thing I'd like to mention, going back to walkable communities, here last week we received the SS4A grant and it's Safe Streets for All. grant to was in the amount of $200,000 to do planning to where come up with a transportation plan that reduces our traffic fatalities to zero is the ultimate goal. And so, but now that does something bigger in that once we have that zero fatalities plan, then there's a pot of money out there of about $6 billion. They're doing allocations every year of about $800 million to where we can go directly to the federal government and we can apply for monies for complete streets. So like to carry out the projects that are in our comprehensive plan regarding complete streets connecting all of our parks, that's something that we can go after those federal dollars for. And that is something that historically has never happened. Previously, you had to go through the state, you had to go through the planning commission. This is going directly to the federal government to access those funds. So that's a great opportunity for the city that's being pursued.
Bypassing the red tape.
That's right. A lot less red tape with that.
There we go. Well, we're about to run out of time, Mayor Dawson, so do you have any closing words you'd like to share with the world, with your community, with the state of Missouri?
Well, just in closing, come visit Sedalia. It's a great place to live.
Very well put. Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you once again for contributing to Spotlighting the Arts and About Town, the series. It's been really an inspiring visit with you and Jolene Cornine here at the table. So it's really been informational and educational, and so I want to invite everyone to visit the city of Sedalia, Missouri. Thank you, viewers, for joining here today. Rick J. saying, keep safe and healthy. Don't forget to subscribe to GIJ. That's GIJ, Global Media OTT Network, which can now be found on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Over 175 interviews. Rick J. saying, see you next time. Stay healthy.